Ladies and gentlemen, by clicking on this video, you are in for one unbelievable treat. Today on the Haymakers, I, DJ Calcos, and Nikki V have for you the best interview that you're ever going to hear on this, and more than likely will be the most viewed video, give or take, in about 2 weeks. Let's dive into this. I, of course, you know me, Toon, the man, the cult of personality, all that good stuff. Who do we have here as our special guest for this interview?
Is that my turn to speak?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm Martin Billany. I'm also known as Little Kuriboh on the internet. I make Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, and I also make Naruto, the Abridged Comedy Fandom Spoof Series show. But more recently, I've been doing a wrestling thing called the Mark Remark, which recaps the events of the WWE on Raw and SmackDown every week, or at least as often as I can do it.
All right, let's get into this shindig, shall we? Calcos, I believe you shall start.
All right, so we're gonna go with the standard starting interview question. First off, the Mark Remark. How did it happen? Where'd you get the idea? Lay it on us.
Okay, the Mark Remark was an idea I've had, I'd say, for at least 4 years now. I've always wanted to do something wrestling related. I've had a passion for wrestling since like the late 90s, I'd say, and ever since I started making videos, I was like, I'd love to do something related to that. The only problem was that once I got started with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged thing, for those of you who are watching who don't know what that is, it's a parody of the anime of Yu-Gi-Oh!, where I take the episodes and I shorten them down and I do the voices and I try and make it funny. But once that got going and once that snowballed, it got to the point where if I did want to do anything else, it was going to be kind of a risky decision because the audience, you know, knows what it wants and it's very passionate about it. And I do appreciate that. A lot of people think, you know, it must get frustrating with people demanding new content all the time. But at the end of the day, if they didn't, that would mean they didn't care. And, you know, that would suck a lot worse. But I eventually, I was talking to a good friend of mine, Chris from back in England, at a convention like 3 or 4 years ago. And I was like, I'd love to do like a weekly, like satirical news show as if, you know, I was reporting on what was happening in the world of the WWE as if it was like a legit event, like it was like the actual news, as if this stuff was really happening in real life, but I was playing it sort of straight. And obviously the concept changed over time. I didn't stick to that premise. But the idea was in my head, and it was just it buried itself in my brain for a long time. And it got to the point where after I moved to America, I saw like shows like The Colbert Report and The Daily Show, and while I'm not very interested in a lot of the subjects that they talk about on those shows, they present it in a way that's entertaining enough that even if I knew absolutely nothing about it and I never wanted to know anything about it, I'd still want to hear these people talk about it because just the way they present it to you, it's more palatable because of the humor involved and because of the personalities. And the Mark Remark was something I sort of conceived in its final form as something for people who both like wrestling and also have no interest in it whatsoever. And I've been very satisfied with the results of that because I've seen a lot of people both online and in real life who would never give a passing thought to the world of pro wrestling, for one reason or another. My wife hates wrestling just because it's a bunch of people hurting each other, and I understand that, and I would never, you know, insist that she watch it just because I enjoy it, but she enjoys listening to me talk about it. So I kind of took that and I went with it, and I felt, you know, if I was passionate enough about something and if I felt like I could convey the story of the show without going too far off the rails and getting, you know, like too detailed about it. Like, because if you say too much about a wrestling match, you can turn people off if they don't care about wrestling. But if you don't say enough about it, then people are like, well, you didn't even acknowledge half the stuff that happened. So I try to walk that line to sort of cater to both sides of the fence. And like I said, I understand that, people have their reasons for not liking wrestling. I acknowledge that there are flaws to wrestling, and it can be pretty stupid at times, but I love it because of that, as well as because of everything that's great about it. So I guess I'm trying to celebrate everything I love about wrestling, including all the terrible stuff. That's what I'm trying to do with the show.
So, let's go back then. What was like the moment that made you a wrestling fan? Like, how long have you been watching wrestling?
I've been watching on a regular basis since the very specific moment that got me into wrestling was I bought a copy of WWF. What was the one before Attitude on the N64?
No Mercy.
No Mercy was years after that. Attitude was the one by Acclaim, where they had like the really stiff animations, and it was more like
and there were like 16 wrestlers on it or whatever.
Yeah,
I remember that one.
It wasn't that great. I picked up Attitude, but there was a game before that got me interested because I kind of liked the characters in it, and I was like, wow, I've never really considered watching wrestling on a regular basis. I'd caught it on TV every so often, and I would laugh and be like, wow, that looks just silly. But then when I picked up this game for the N64, and I'm sure somebody will remember what it's called, I was like, I want to know more about these people. I want to know why this Mankind guy has a mask on, and why he doesn't seem like too threatening. He seems kind of goofy, but he also has just an interesting persona going on. And there were all these different details. Like, I didn't understand at the time who Steve Austin was. I was living under a rock, basically. Or I didn't understand who The Rock was either. But I played that, and then I played WWF Attitude, and then I started like creating my own storylines within the game. I would like have the wrestlers feud with each other, and I'd let the computer play the matches out, and I'd be like, wow, I'm really into this. It felt like, when you would read comic books and you'd be like, who can beat up who? Could Superman beat up, this guy? And I would do that. I would sit there at my N64 and I'd just watch these matches play out for hours at a time. And it was strange for me because obviously I'd never really sat down and watched the show. And I started watching as a result because I just wanted to know who these people were and why, X-Pac would come out to the ring and gesture to his crotch. And I ended up really getting into it as a result. I actually tuned in, I think, at a very fortuitous time, because if I'd tuned in, I think, a little before, because this was right after Stone Cold had been taken out. He got hit by the car. And
thanks, Rikishi.
Yes. He did it for The Rock, okay? But that happened, and then The Big Show won the title, and then lost it like a day later to Triple H on Raw. And like if I'd tuned in right at that moment, I would have been like, "What the hell's going on? This is just all over the place." But I tuned in just shortly after that when the whole Triple H, the McMahon-Helmsley regime was kicking off, and Mick Foley was going up against Triple H, and they had that amazing match at Royal Rumble 2000, and just his swan song. Like, obviously we know now that he didn't finish his wrestling career quite there, but at the time it was a very dramatic and involving storyline, and Mick Foley is such a unique and charismatic and very genuinely interesting person. Like, he can capture you with, just a word or a sentence, and I didn't expect that going into it. I was very taken by the way the story was playing out, and just all the history that was there. Like, they flashed back to Cactus Jack versus Triple H on Raw, like in '97, and then they would flash back to like the Dude Love stuff, and I was like, wow, there's actually a lot to this, and I wasn't expecting that. I expected it just to be people, sort of slapping each other and then, pretending to fall down, but there was a lot more to it. There's an intrigue, and there's a story, and there's a spectacle to it, and I really got behind that. And yeah, I really was drawn in by the whole Mick Foley retirement storyline, and after that, I was just, it just takes the one story to get you interested, and then you just start to pay attention to everybody else on the roster, and then you start going back and watching their careers and really sort of burying yourself in this thing, and I was buried in it. I was very much taken by wrestling after that.
Was there ever a time where you were just like, to hell with this? Like the product has just gotten so out there and so just asinine that I can't watch it anymore?
I don't think I've ever really felt those exact words, but I've definitely had to roll my eyes and just sort of, I guess, tune out for a while. Like I remember when the hot lesbian action thing happened with Eric Bischoff.
Oh, that.
Yeah, that was a time to be alive. I've definitely felt like the product has had low points, but like I said before, I think that part of the appeal of it is how stupid it can get. Like it's almost like you're expecting it to get worse, and you kind of want to see how bad it can get, and then you appreciate when it's great. But it isn't always great. It's often bad. But I don't think I've ever really given up 100% or felt like I want to give up. Sometimes I've just been too busy to watch. But as a whole, I think wrestling has always been. I don't like to say this, but because it sounds like an insult, but it's the very lowest common denominator. Nothing is going to surprise me as low as they will sink to do something shocking or even just. The worst for me is when it's boring. I don't like when it's just because right now what we have with the main event stuff at WrestleMania, I just find that boring. I just find it so boring. And I don't want to blame any one person, but Roman Reigns really isn't the character that they want him to be, and he's not doing anything for anybody. Like you look at all the other members of the Shield who. Once the group split up, they really came into their own, and any of the other guys could have done something different or something interesting with what they've given Roman Reigns, but there's nothing to it, Like you look at that feud that's going on right now, or you look at Roman Reigns in general right now, and it's just so shallow and vapid, and there's nothing going on. So that bothers me more than like say a Katie Vick or something like that. I'm much more bothered by stuff like that.
Yeah, we have choice words. We have many choice words towards that, mostly by me because I am the ridiculously angry heel of the group.
Right.
Yeah, I'm the extremely passionate wrestling fan, and I think Nikki's kind of the one who keeps getting all the predictions right. He seems to know more about this than both me and Calcos do sometimes.
I've got my finger on the pulse.
Pretty much.
We should send you a fruit basket.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Okay, so there's a running joke that you have on the Mark Remark that whenever the divas get into the ring, you need to go take a piss. So, just a quick question. What divas match would you have to have in order to stay where you are and not go to the restroom?
I've actually phased out that joke, and I've actually been acknowledging the divas matches for a few weeks now. But if I were, as the character, if that joke were to continue, I think honestly, it would probably have to be like an NXT divas match, or women's match as they call it on NXT. You don't want to call them divas, but it would probably, if I ever did review like an NXT show, I'd probably like play it completely straight and actually be kind of reverent of what was going on. Just because the reason I have the piss break joke is because the WWE for a long time, and I think they still kind of are doing this even after the hashtag Give Divas a Chance thing. They've treated the women's matches like filler, like they put them as like a foam peanut in the package that is the wrestling show that they're presenting, and it almost feels like they've designed it that way to make it so that you can go and take a break and come back and watch the stuff that they really want you to watch. So that's why that joke exists. But as far as if the character were to if he were to keep doing that, he'd probably what match would he have to divas match? I guess Paige versus
anybody.
Yeah, he'd probably pay attention to that. Paige in like some sort of match that just involves her and nobody else.
Like say Paige, like say Paige and AJ versus like Trish and Lita or something.
There you go.
See, they should book me for this. I know this. I played enough WWE SmackDown versus Raw to like book the perfect friggin' road to WrestleMania.
Or so you think.
Hey, I guarantee you, Big Show versus Akibono 2 in a sumo wrestling match would be the greatest thing ever. I guarantee you, I will make it shit gold.
Oh my god.
I'd pay $1 to see that.
Who am I kidding? Nobody would pay to see that.
No, not even one person. Going off of the old, running jokes that you have, which wrestler is the one that when he comes out, like every time he opens his mouth, you are just laughing your ass off, besides Curtis Axel?
Oh, the Big Show easily. It's there's no contest. Like somehow the Big Show provides me with the easiest material every week. Like there are so many running jokes with him that just I never want to stop doing them. I've kind of pushed the Big Show joke to the side for the time being, just because I want to bring it back eventually when it'll surprise people. But if I keep using it, it'll just get boring. But the thing where he's like, I'm having fun. And I introduced a new one in this next one that I'm working on, and like I could see myself just having an entire episode of nothing but Big Show jokes, and I could probably make it work, just because he's a great punching bag, and I hate to say that about the guy because I don't really have a problem with him, and he's obviously kind of coasting, but at the end of the day, what else is he going to do? He's the Big Show, and I he's an entertaining personality, but him and the New Day, like whenever they come out, I'm very excited to see what I can do with those guys, because they're kind of, they stand out for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, it really kind of sucks.
And Booker T too.
Oh yeah, and Booker T, like the whole commentary team is a blast to work with, just because like they provide probably half the material I have, and I try not to take them out of context if I can help it. And unfortunately, they do often say the stupidest stuff without having to manipulate what they've said. So there's this one line in this episode of Raw that I'm reviewing where it's the Natalya versus Naomi match, and Michael Cole and I think Booker actually spend half the match actually calling the action. And I was like, wow, they're actually putting an effort into this. And then like at one point, JBL just goes, Naomi's shoes. And I'm like, what? How does that add anything to the discussion, JBL? Yes, let's bring up her shoes for some reason. So, and then the commentary just goes off on a weird tangent. So I'm like, I'm very grateful for them not knowing how to do their job.
I miss Taz. I miss when
Taz
Taz
was
was on commentary. Yeah, he was great. He brought a lot of excitement to it. And now you got Michael Cole and JBL and Booker T. I'm like, I hate to say this, but I miss Lawler now.
No, I miss heel Lawler more specifically.
Yeah.
I miss like good heel commentary in general. Like JBL, he can do good heel commentary, but he isn't really. He's kind of phoning it in these days.
Yeah.
Like a legit good heel commentary, like I guess Byron Saxton's the closest thing we have to it right now, and that doesn't really cut the mustard, unfortunately. No.
It doesn't feel like he's even trying to be a heel all that much. He's just more like the pessimistic voice of reason.
He's like the foil to the enthusiasm of Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
Since we brought up WrestleMania 31, I know it doesn't seem like you're very excited for WrestleMania, so I guess one thing out of the way. What are your predictions, though, for WrestleMania 31?
Oh, you'll have to run down the card for me because I can't remember the whole thing.
Okay, this hopefully won't take very long. Let's just get the big one out of the way. Reigns versus Lesnar.
I can see it going one or two ways. I either want Roman Reigns to win the title but turn heel in the process, or I'd like Roman Reigns to win the title, but then have Rollins come out and cash in on the Money in the Bank thing and win it off him. Because I think Rollins would be a much better champion than Reigns, regardless. But there's that rumor going around right now that Brock isn't leaving, isn't there?
Yeah, he's getting his contract together, so he might be coming back.
Oh, that's all bum steers. There's no way.
Yeah.
No way. The WWE has been getting very, very good at doing bum steers now, or at the very least, doing very, very bad at doing leaks that never actually happen. Things are very all over the place. But I mean, you said all of the things that you liked, what you would like to happen, but what do you predict will actually happen? Keep in mind, there's only one correct answer.
Roman Reigns is going to win the title, and that's it.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, man, I want to see everyone's face when he doesn't win, though. That'd be hilarious.
That would be the greatest thing ever.
That would be pretty
love
crazy. I
this.
honestly can't predict a situation where Roman comes out and is cheered in that match. Like, I just can't see it happening. People are really like, Paul Heyman's making that feud. He's making it, and he's making Brock Lesnar to be an actually interesting character. You know, you don't need Brock Lesnar to say anything. The story he has is legitimately interesting. Whereas Roman Reigns' whole story is, I can do that. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take that title, and that's it.
I love the new shirt that he had, actually, the whole I can and I will thing. I'm like, yep, that is without a doubt the best slogan that you can possibly give. I can and I will. It's like he's pointing at us just like, yeah, guess what? My new shirt says I can.
I really, really, really want Brock to come out with his own shirt that says, you can't and you won't.
He just said in the interview, he's just like, I'm going to fuck Roman Reigns up. I'm like, there we go. That's the Brock I want to see. Please beat the shit out of him.
Next match, though, Sting versus Triple H. What do you think?
That's a hard one to call. I mean, because Triple H, did he lose his last match?
He's
Yeah,
lost almost every match in a while, like that he's had in a while.
Well, he was with the Evolution against the Shield, and they lost. But going back
Both times, yeah.
Yeah, and going back to WrestleMania, he lost to Daniel Bryan.
So, I mean, I guess just based on that, I would predict him to win just because it just kind of ridiculous that he would keep losing. And I wouldn't be surprised if they kept this thing going for a while. Like maybe they wouldn't keep feuding immediately after WrestleMania, but they might want to do something at SummerSlam or something with them. But it's a hard one to call. I'm given that it's Sting's first match in WWE, I think that supersedes the Triple H thing. So I guess I'll go with Sting.
Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt.
I guess I honestly believe that neither man really needs the win. I think just the fact that the match is happening is probably going to be good for both of them. And Undertaker, he lost last year, and I think it was a big moment for him to lose last year, and I think it wouldn't be nearly as impactful if he lost this year. And I feel like like I said, Bray Wyatt doesn't need a win in this situation. He just needs the moment. He needs the WrestleMania moment of fighting the Undertaker. So I imagine what's going to happen is Undertaker will win the match, but then Bray Wyatt will do something after the match that regains all his heat and, is the actual moment people remember.
What about the Intercontinental title ladder match?
Or the Intercontinental Clusterfuck, as it's known now.
Right.
Or keep our special Looney Tunes keep-away ladder match.
It's Stardust, Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, Dean Ambrose, Bad News Barrett, R-Truth. Did I miss anybody?
Luke Harper. Or
Luke
the
Harper.
Walking Dead zombie, as he's been called.
Right.
Zombie
Eddie
Eddie
Guerrero.
Zombie Eddie Guerrero. Yeah, that's the one.
That was
It's
really
been
awkward.
It's been 10 years and it's still too soon.
It's another hard one to call. Like, I hate to say it, but I definitely don't see Wade Barrett winning just because the way they've been treating him. I don't see them suddenly giving him the victory after all this nonsense. And some people are saying Daniel Bryan just to lend the belt legitimacy, but I don't want to see that ultimately. Like, I'd like to see the belt regain its legitimacy, but I don't think it has to be Daniel Bryan to be the one to do that. I think they can do it with any of those guys. They
Even
just
Luke
have
Harper?
if they write it a certain way. I mean, I think Luke Harper's a great wrestler. I mean, obviously he's probably not the odds-on favorite to win. But I think any of those guys have the ability to do something with it. But it's just that the WWE has to have a good idea of what to do with them and not just do what they're doing to Wade Barrett. Like that's my main problem with it is that, it's one thing to have a storyline that's, going on as long as it has been going and has taken up so much TV time, but it's such a bad storyline. Like nobody gets anything out of this until the actual match at WrestleMania when somebody takes the belt and walks off with it. Nobody's really getting anything out of this situation. Least of all Daniel Bryan, who is a turd, apparently. I don't know. I think it feels like Dolph Ziggler is constantly on the cusp of something, and I feel like if they want to do something to give the belt legitimacy, and if they want to actually finally push him as a true superstar. I think it would be good if they gave it to him. So I'm gonna go with. I said Roman Reigns wins. Who else wins? Sting. I'm picking nothing but the faces. This is definitely not going to be how it goes.
Ambrose?
Ambrose could do it, but still.
Ambrose was kind of the start of the whole thing.
He
between
was,
him
but
and Barrett, and then everybody else started getting involved.
He was, but I don't think that necessarily means anything when it comes to the WWE. I definitely would like to see Ambrose win. I'm going to go with Ziggler, though, just because, I don't know, they just seem to be... They don't seem to know what they're doing, and I have a feeling that, you know, they're ultimately just going to give it to somebody and then do something interesting with it afterwards. I honestly think it's anybody's game. I don't think they really know what they're doing.
All right, next up, the armbar. By the way, if you answer anything other than Mizdow, you're wrong.
We're kicking you out of the call.
Oh no, you guys, it's Axelmania. You gotta believe behind Axelmania.
But what about like if Sheamus came back in the battle royal and then
don't you fucking dude.
Boo!
Oh come on, they have to have Sheamus come back somehow.
Have him come back in the ladder match and then have him lose that. Because if he comes back in the armbar, he's winning the fucker.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think, honestly, if he's a dark horse there, if they have got plans to put him in there, I wouldn't be surprised to see him win. Mizdow's definitely a contender, although I have a feeling that what they're going to do is they're going to have some sort of thing where the Miz gets eliminated because of Mizdow, and then Mizdow's in the ring celebrating, and then he gets eliminated. Maybe the Miz comes back and eliminates him out of spite. They're going to do some story gimmick thing with them, and then they're going to have them have a match like at the next pay-per-view or something. But I don't think either of them are going to win the trophy. It's really one of those matches that it's anybody's ball game again. Like I don't think anybody really predicted Cesaro was going to win last year's, did they?
No, everyone
he
put it on
certainly
the
did.
Big Show because he was wearing the single strap singlet.
Exactly, yeah. Whereas this year, there's nothing like that. It's just a lot of people who are vying for it. It's definitely not going to be Kane or Big Show. It's definitely, I don't think, going to be Miz or Mizdow. I'd love to see Mizdow win it, but I just don't see that happening. Although that would be great, because that would be like the Mizdow would have that huge trophy to just carry around with him while the Miz has like just nothing.
No, the Miz would take the trophy.
Yeah, that's
and he'd
true.
pretend that he'd win it.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to pick that because that's just too good to pass up. I like that.
And this is a linking thing. If Mizdow wins by eliminating Miz, this can go on. And this can keep going all the way to SummerSlam and beyond. This can define their careers.
I'd totally be I'd love to see that.
What about Rusev versus Cena?
Probably the hardest one to call just because, while it seems like Cena's the obvious choice, I feel like they'd be killing Rusev by doing that. There'd be nothing to do with him after that. I'm gonna go with Rusev, just because I think ultimately I think that's just what they need to do with that character. They need to keep him undefeated. Like I feel like as soon as he gets defeated, then he's done. You know, there's nothing else you can do with him.
He's already been defeated on Raw, though, I think.
Oh, he has?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, when Cena made him like tap out.
Wait, what?
Yeah, twice.
No, it wasn't in a match though.
No.
Yeah, he just made him tap out.
Okay. Never mind, I'm stupid.
And he has tapped out before. Like,
yeah,
I know Swagger made him tap.
He's had situations where, by all intents and purposes, he should have lost, but the idea is that he didn't technically lose. So I'm sure there'll be some sort of thing where Cena, like, who knows, maybe Cena will win by count out, and I don't know. I just don't see Rusev losing that belt just yet. I just think they have a good thing going.
All right, have fun at WrestleMania, brother.
Oh, well, thank you, man.
Wait,
right.
There's one more match though, I think.
The women's tag match.
No, actually, Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins.
Oh, yeah.
The one I'm hyped for.
I'd like to see Seth take this one. I feel like Randy's a good, what's the word? A good platform for Seth to sort of, lift himself up, and like that seems to be how they use Randy a lot. They have him be there to be like the bridge between the mid card and the main event. And while Seth has been in the main event for a while, I feel like he needs just this extra win at WrestleMania to be taken seriously. I want Seth to win. I wouldn't be surprised if Randy wins, but I think it's going to be a great match one way or another.
Yeah, I think that takes care of WrestleMania.
No, there's still the tag team match and the women's tag match.
Who cares?
Okay.
Yeah.
We all know that the Usos are winning the belt back because Daddy Rikishi's going in the Hall of Fame.
It's New Day versus Cesaro and Tyson Kidd.
Oh, thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, yeah, because didn't one of the Usos get hurt?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Thank you. Ah, thank you. The Usos are going to live, right?
I think.
Good. Now now that I'm celebrating, I don't feel any guilt.
I was going to say.
Neither of them are going to
Yay,
die.
they're injured.
Yay, Jimmy's not dead.
I know, I'm an asshole,
Our
but
truth will never be happier.
I'm an
When
asshole,
say
but I do
oos,
not.
You say, oh.
Oos!
Oh.
Oos!
Oh.
I'm just happy because now Tyson Kidd and Cesaro aren't losing the belts. That's why I'm happy.
Yeah. I don't see the New Day winning that match.
Oh, God.
They're just not. I mean, they're a sideshow attraction right now. You know, they're not a real. They're not a legitimate thing. It just
They've got negative pops.
yeah,
Pretty
it's
much.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Poor Kofi. Man,
Yeah,
Kofi.
I love those guys. Those guys are great, but they've been handed a bum deal.
Like, all three of them are good. Like, Kofi's a great high flyer. Xavier's a really good promo guy, and Big E's a good big guy. You'd think it would work, but the gimmick is just...
It's a joke. It's like you can't take that seriously. There's no situation in which you would cheer for those characters. You know, they're the cheerleaders. You know, you don't cheer for the cheerleaders. You cheer for the teams that are actually playing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Ministry of Darkness 2.0.
That's one way of putting it.
One of my friends made that joke, and I refuse to give it up.
All right. So, given how let's call it weird the product is at this point, do you think that the WWE product will get any better once Vince eventually steps down and Triple H takes over?
It's a good question, and I think it's going to be something that's impossible to call until we actually see it happen. I mean, he books NXT, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a great product. I think that's fantastic, but I don't know if he would come to the WWE with the same mindset. I don't know if he would change Raw and SmackDown into basically NXT Deluxe or something. I think he would. He'd probably try and because obviously it's an established brand and it's very specifically catered to a certain audience. And to mess with that formula would probably be bad business. And I'm sure he recognizes that. It's safe with NXT because it's on the network and it's their essentially developmental division, and there's no risk involved really. But with Raw especially, I don't know if he can really change too much about it without potentially scaring people off. I'm sure you'll see guys who deserve to be showcased get showcased, but it might still, as you say, it is a weird product and it is kind of out there and it can be very silly. Sure, that won't change too much, but as I think the talent that we see rise to the top might be different. Like I don't think we'll like Roman Reigns. I think under Triple H would be a very different story.
We can only dream.
All right, so this one is a two-part question. One, who is your favorite wrestler on the current roster?
Gosh, does that include NXT or is it just the main roster?
We'll split it, main and NXT.
I'm going to have to look at a list right now because I'm sorry about this.
No, it's all right.
It's all right.
The
Take
top
your
of my
time.
head, I don't know. WWE roster. Okay.
Pick Zack
Oh, no.
Ryder.
You'd be like, oh no, someone messed with the Wikipedia. It's nothing but Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns.
Wait, are we 100% sure Zack Ryder is on the roster?
I hope he is.
listed.
He was in the Royal Rumble. He got offense in.
So is Bubba Ray Dudley and the Boogeyman.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I was so fucking disappointed with the Boogeyman.
Oh, but you disappointed by how short-lived he was, or?
I'm just disappointed that he was created in the first place.
Oh. I think if I was going to pick one person, honestly, right now I'm really digging Stardust. I think Cody Rhodes is an extremely underutilized talent, and he seems to be really committed to the character of Stardust. And I think there's a lot of potential there. I was really disappointed when they scrapped that feud between him and Goldust. I thought that could have been something great.
Did they basically scrap it at this point?
It's not being acknowledged anymore.
Yeah, and Goldust is going to be in the armbar.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Whereas Stardust is in a completely different match. Yeah.
Dude, that feud should have been so perfect. I mean, at Fastlane, Cody Rhodes cut the promo of his goddamn life.
It was a great promo.
Crap.
And he really is into that character, and I respect that. You know, there's a lot of people would half-ass that, but he's 100% into it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, how about the NXT roster?
I'm really into Kevin Owens right now. Actually, I just watched the new one, and I'm sad that he's injured. But he's really great. I think he's a great big guy, and the promos that he's been cutting and everything, he's just a phenomenal champion for considering how, you know, he's only been around less than half a year, and I'm really digging him. I like everybody on that roster though. Like, there's very few people I don't really enjoy watching. I'm not a huge fan of Tyler Breeze. He can be good, but I think the character puts me off a little too much. I don't see that working in the long term. But yeah, I liked Adrian Neville. I thought he was a great champion. But right now, Kevin Owens.
I'm kind of wondering if the Kevin Owens injury is just a way to like not have to fight Finn Balor at the next pay-per-view.
Oh, you think?
Kayfabe runs deep, man.
Well, they were going to have him wrestle Finn Balor next week, though.
When is the next NXT Supercard?
I don't know, but they've not announced one yet. So, but yeah, he was going to wrestle him next week. They were hyping that up, and now he's injured. So,
Oh.
All right,
Well.
Finn Balor takes on Curtis Axel. Let's see.
Do we really want to squash Finn Balor's momentum? I mean, really?
Second part. This one should be easier. Who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
oh, can I give like 3 different answers?
Sure.
Why not?
Go nuts.
Okay. As far as in-ring ability goes, I've always loved the Lightning Kid, Sean Waltman, back in the day. I honestly, he was my favorite. Like, I think he did things that nobody else would have dared to do at the time, and I feel like he was ahead of his time by like 5-10 years. And unfortunately, injuries prevented him from really keeping that pace up. So I guess ultimately it was a bad thing that he was so far ahead of his time. But I loved all of his matches as the Lightning Kid, and he also that moment with Razor Ramon on Raw when he wins the match, and it feels like it's one of those moments that shouldn't have happened. Like, that's honestly probably my favorite wrestling moment ever, because it's fun and it's exciting, and it takes you by surprise, and everybody's really into it. Like, and Sean Waltman's just, his face lights up as he runs out of the ring and looks like he's trying to run out of Dodge. And ultimately I liked X-Pac, but for different reasons. His character was kind of stale, but I liked what he did. I liked the modifications he made to his moveset and everything. And he was just fun to watch sometimes. I know, mozzarella. But as far as like wrestling personalities goes, like, I was a big fan of Raven. I like. What are you talking about? I know.
I think your cat wants to join.
She does. Who's your favorite wrestler, mozzarella? She's not going to tell us. Raven. I loved his promos, and I loved his feud with Tommy Dreamer, and it was just one of those things where he really captured my imagination, and he made me really give a shit about what was going on in the ring. And I think he's a good brawler. I think he's given some really great matches, and he's obviously very intelligent and very passionate about the business. And I can see that. I like a guy who can just, without even saying anything, it was an interesting person to watch. And I dig that, but as far as like all-time favorite overall, it's really hard to go with anybody that isn't Mick Foley. Just as a person, like, it's hard not to admire him. He's obviously done some things that he probably regrets, but he's always been 100% committed to the sport. He's always been 100% committed to the fans. he's the kind of guy who he puts everybody else before himself, and he's the idea of what a wrestler should be. Like he just has everything in his head. You know, maybe he hasn't got the perfect body for it, but he's in his mind, he's what a wrestler should be. And like I said, watching that storyline play out where he was retiring and going up against Triple H, that moment where he takes off his Mankind costume and becomes Cactus Jack, that's 100% Mick Foley creating that image. And even as somebody who didn't know who Cactus Jack was, and who didn't know who Mankind was, and who didn't even really know who Mick Foley was, I got that moment because of the way he portrayed it. And very few people can do that. And just looking at every aspect of his career, even post wrestling, there's something magical about what he does in every aspect of his life. And he's both bigger than wrestling, but he also is wrestling. I think bigger than wrestling is the wrong term. He's what makes wrestling big for me. So I honestly, I have a ton of respect for the guy. I think he's always gonna go down as, like he said on the Beyond the Mat documentary, he wanted to be known as the most polite wrestler, but he's also just always going to be I think the best personality to come out of wrestling, because he's not jaded too much about the business. He's always, you know, he's always had a passion for it. He's always putting other people over. That's what you need. I honestly believe if more wrestlers were like Mick Foley, then, you know, it would be a much better world.
Before we move on, though, because you mentioned Raven, I don't know if you know this, but within WWE, WCW, and ECW, he has won more championships than any other wrestler within those federations.
What did he win in the WWE?
Okay, so he has won a total of 32 championships in WWE. ECW ECW World Heavyweight Championship, ECW Tag Team Championship, NWA WHC, WCW Light Heavyweight Championship, WCW United States Championship, WCW World Tag Team Championship, and, here we go, 27 Hardcore Championship reigns.
Oh, I figured it was going to be the hardcore one. But does that include when it was 24/7? Was that part of that?
Yeah, if you remove the hardcore championship, then Edge is number 1 at 31 championship reigns.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, Edge has 31.
Yeah, right. Go, and that's pretty awesome. That's really cool. I was always a big Raven fan, and I guess he won me over without making me realize that he actually won any of the times that he did. So that's really cool.
What about me? What about Raven?
It was just a cool character, and the fact that he had a DDT as his finisher, I don't know. I thought it was the coolest thing because it was a very old school thing.
I got one for you. It's kind of a rapid fire thing, but like, tell me if you think one of these superstars will ever win a world title in the WWE. And I'll start off with a layup, Cesaro.
Like, you mean the WWE title?
Yeah, either the WWE title or if they ever like split them up again, like the World Heavyweight title.
Cesaro, I'm just gonna answer, right off the gut. I'm gonna say no. I'd love him to. I just don't see them getting past the fact that he's, unless they give him like Paul Heyman as a manager or something again, like he needs a mouthpiece. I just don't see Vince. Maybe Triple H would give it to him. Actually, I could see that happening.
Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Luke Harper.
No.
Tyson Kidd.
No.
Anyone in the New Day.
No.
Not even Kofi?
No. I think Kofi, he's the Intercontinental title guy. How many times has he won that?
33.
Really?
33.
He broke Raven's record.
My goodness. Yeah, I don't see Kofi getting it. Like, I think he would have gotten it by now.
Yeah, that's probably true. All right.
I mean, I love these guys. I have to be honest. I don't see them having the title and running with it. Maybe they'd have it for a week, but I don't see it happening long term.
All right. Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Shoot, I had one more that I'm trying to think of off the top of my head, but I lost.
Mizdow.
Mizdow, let's go with Mizdow.
Mizdow, if treated right, I think he could totally do it. Because a lot of it is about how you push these guys.
All right. How about another rapid fire, just because these are fun?
Okay.
How excited would you be to see blank appear in a WWE ring? AJ Styles.
Oh, very excited.
The Young Bucks.
Oh, very excited.
Not after what happened recently.
No? What do you mean? Oh, because of right. No, I see what you're saying.
No,
happen.
it's just like they made a few like jabs at him, and apparently, I read a report a while back that Young Bucks kind of didn't do very well at a WWE tryout, and they kind of just fell apart from there.
The last big time I heard about them involving the WWE was like right after the Royal Rumble, and they were saying like, "Hey, we should release a new T-shirt now that people aren't spending $9.99 on something else." What about Uhaa Nation?
I'd be pretty excited to see him.
Joey Ryan.
I'd be very excited to see him.
Anyone from Lucha Underground?
I was about to say Prince Puma.
Oh gosh.
Have you seen Lucha Underground? I should ask.
I actually have only seen one episode, so I feel bad about that. But I mean, they're all great. Like everybody I saw on the roster was. I'd be excited to see any. I mean, as long as they treated him better, Alberto Del Rio. Like that's the thing, you know. If he came back, I know they'd probably be treating him terribly again. So I would feel really bad if he came back. But you know, I'd like to see him wrestle again.
No, Alberto Del Rio works for Ring of Honor AAA, and he's actually in the main event match at Lucha Underground next week.
Oh, fantastic! Very cool.
So he's still wrestling, and he's wrestling a lot.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
Like
I just feel bad that the way he was treated.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the way he was treated is absolutely inexcusable.
Samoa Joe, because I've been
oh.
hearing that he's gonna sign like probably after WrestleMania.
Very excited to see that. I'd love to see that. I think he'd be perfect for the WWE.
How about Tanahashi?
Which one is Tanahashi? I'm sorry.
He's in New Japan. He's like the face of New Japan at this point.
Oh, of course he is. I'd be very excited, although I don't think they treat him right.
Did Yoshitatsu him?
Yeah, yeah, they would.
Yoshitatsu, you had so much potential.
Yeah. Unfortunately, AJ Styles broke his freaking neck.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Thank you, Styles Clash. I used to be really scared for Hideo Itami, or Kenta, as Smarks would call him. But the reason why I'm not is because he's endorsed by Hulk Hogan. So by having Hulk Hogan in your corner, I'm almost guaranteed that Hideo Itami will do just fine in the main roster, because if he doesn't, then there's going to be problems.
Right,
Yeah, but Calcos, didn't they do something similar with that, with like Vince McMahon endorsing Drew McIntyre?
Fuck.
Oh, shit.
You want to know how well that went? 3-man band, baby.
Fuck.
He's in Lucha Underground now, right?
No, I think he's on TNA.
Oh, he is?
Yeah. Well, poor Drew McIntyre. You were the chosen one, and then you were just there.
Yeah.
You were just one person.
Okay, so which wrestler who is not a current main eventer do you think will become a main eventer within the next 5 years? And if there's too many that you think could become a main eventer, just name like the one that will get there the fastest.
Gosh, let's have a look at this roster. Someone who's not a main eventer right now, but that will be a main eventer in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Does that include people who have been main eventers before, but right now they're not?
No, the people that have never been consistent main eventers.
Never been consistent main eventers. Bray Wyatt, I think he could be a big main eventer in the next 5 years. Maybe not the quickest, but I think he'd definitely get up there.
Yeah, this WrestleMania match will tell everything.
Yeah, because they seem to be building him up for something.
Yeah, we actually asked this question amongst each other in our last podcast. I think which one of you guys said Bray Wyatt?
I did.
Yeah, you said Bray Wyatt. Zach said Dolph Ziggler, and I said Finn
Wait,
Balor.
what? Oh,
Yeah, in the top 5 wrestlers. thing?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I did say Ziggler would be like in the main event. I was confused for a second. Wait, are we talking about Undertaker's match or like no?
No. I think the question was worded differently in the last podcast, but yeah, and I said Finn Balor. So.
Man, Ziggler versus Undertaker. That's a video game match right there.
What do you think professional wrestling will look like in 5 years? Like, will the WWE still be on top? Will Lucha Underground become a viable like competitor? Will TNA continue to be totally fucking irrelevant?
I honestly think at this point, just with the way the market has been saturated and with the rise of the WWE network, I don't think anybody's taking the WWE down off its pedestal. Certainly not within the next 5 years or so. They seem to be on the up and up with the way that the market is going, and unfortunately, nobody else can compete with that right now, just because of how successful WWE is as a business. But I think honestly, we'll definitely see some decent competition. Like that's what I'm excited about more than anything is with stuff like Lucha Underground. I want to see, how that affects how the company works, because the reason the WWE honestly has stagnated is because they haven't had any competition and they haven't had the reason to, like if the guy on the top of the mountain, if he fights his way up there and he gets there, he gets lazy, and he just doesn't bother actually working as hard because he's already up there. But somebody will start climbing up, and then he'll have to start thinking of how to keep them from getting his place. So I'm hoping we'll definitely see some really interesting scenarios as a result, and it would be nice to see them at least be on the same level as the WWE. I don't think anybody's taking them down, certainly not in 5 years, but 10 years maybe. I think they're all great. I think that we've got a lot of great products right now. TNA, obviously, it's hokey, but they've got good talent there,
I've always kind of been a sucker for Bobby Lashley and Jeff Hardy and all them.
If there was anything you could do right now to help improve like any division of the WWE roster, like what would it be? How would you fix the WWE right about now?
Oh, God, fix the whole thing?
Or at least like any specific division.
Good God, this guy's this guy is little Kuriboh. He's not Cesar Romano. He can't fix your dog. Come on.
Honestly, I think make the Intercontinental title like more of the belt that is featured more regularly on like TV and stuff. I know they do feature it a lot, but I think that if the Intercontinental title were like the belt people were fighting over every week, and then the pay-per-view matches were, the main event was the WWE title, I feel like it would help push the IC title as its own as its own part of the company, and as something that's worth fighting over. Whereas if everything is like the Authority and then Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, like that takes up like 45 minutes of the show at least. And like I feel like nobody's really gaining anything from that. And the Intercontinental title is just, it gets maybe one segment. I feel like if you featured the IC title a lot more, then, at the very least, people, rather than just, throwing as many people as you can into one match, actually just have an ongoing storyline that's interesting, that's regularly featured regarding it. And then, maybe just have the pay-per-view match main event relegated for the WWE title, and just build that up like it's, like the way they do on NXT, like just hype it up as a wrestling match and let the talent speak for itself.
Any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. I'm genuinely excited for WrestleMania. Honestly, I know I guess I've complained about certain aspects of it. I'm not excited for the main event. I'm excited to see the match in person. I'm just not excited, the way the WWE wants me to be. But I am excited for WrestleMania just because I feel like after WrestleMania, we'll be seeing a lot of very interesting developments that it feels like it'll be a changing point. And I honestly I'm very keen to find out where they're going with everything. I honestly do want to see them do something different with Roman Reigns. I think Roman can be a great talent and a great main eventer. I just feel like what they're doing with him now is keeping him from being what he can be. And I'd like to see them. I'd really like to see them do something else with the Shield. Like, I feel like the WrestleMania match should have been a triple threat between the Shield members. It shouldn't have been Roman Reigns for the title, and it shouldn't have been Dean Ambrose in a ladder match, and it shouldn't be Seth Rollins. I mean, I guess Seth's feud is the only one that actually makes sense. But I feel like they could have done something different with that. And I'd like to see them bring that back. I'd like to see them bring that angle back somehow. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens after WrestleMania.
It's gonna be interesting for sure, because like they've been building up for this huge moment at WrestleMania. I think Triple H said this in his interview with Stone Cold. Like, wrestling is the never-ending story, because even after the biggest moment at the biggest show, there's still, okay, what happens now? Who does Reigns or Lesnar feud with from here? So it'll be interesting to see like what they decide to go with from here.
It will be, and the night after WrestleMania is always pretty bloody interesting. Sometimes it's more interesting than WrestleMania. So I'm excited for the time that we're in right now. Not necessarily the pay-per-view itself, but just what's going to come of it.
Yeah, the Raw after WrestleMania is going to be a good time.
Are you going to that one too?
No, unfortunately, I have to come back and get to work again. But I'm only taking the 2 days off to go down to WrestleMania.
All right, I think that concludes this little interesting podcast. This has been a huge honor to have you on here, man.
Well, thank you for having me.
We really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
I guess all of us at the Haymakers, catch us in the next video. Definitely go check out the Mark Remark. This guy, like I said, is one of the best wrestling podcasts. It's probably better than our own. What are you even doing here?
Probably, yeah. His is 100 gajillion% better than ours. His at least has production values.
Nah, we got him beat. Yes.
Hey, actually, you know what? That brings me up to an interesting thing. Martin, can I join your show? Because these guys, they're okay. But can I join the big wings? Can I join your evolution? If that's all right. Can I backstab these two fuckers and join your thing?
Absolutely.
Sweet.
He's the Rollins of the group.
I've been the heel this whole time.
Look, he didn't sell out. He bought in, okay?
Exactly. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next video.
What a swerve.